So we've been working on brush hogging. I didn't get any footage the first couple days we worked on it, so been brush hogging this this swath right here. There's the tractor, the old 6600 with the brush hog, up to the road. This lot kind of got divided up, so there's 10 acres in the middle that I didn't brush hog because I don't know if I'm gonna be farming that. But an Amishman had bought this. I don't know if I said that or not, and I'm gonna be farming it for him. So just brush hogging down all the stuff that had been growing, as it was not farmed last year. So it'll just till up a lot easier this year. I try to do minimum till or just disking. I try not to have to plow, and because of that, because we're just going to try to disc it, that's why I wanted to brush hog it. If you were going to moldboard plow it, you could have came in and probably just moldboard plowed it all down, but I try to not do that if I can help it. So anyways, yeah, we did a bunch in the back, and then just a couple slivers on each side of this front piece. I'm going to drive to the back and show you that piece and how big it is and how much we got done of that. So okay, so this is the back piece. It's about 18 acres. Got all this brush hog down as well, and yeah, this should be a pretty nice piece back here, pretty big and open. And 18 acres is not a bad size. So here is the one swath they have going up to the front right there, and then there's some then there's a piece in the middle that they do not own. So yep, hope to get all this farm. So the back of this is actually almost pure sand with a little bit of sand on the top. So I actually took soil samples. I sampled the back piece, I sampled this piece, and then I sampled the two pieces up front. So I'll have 3 samples on this piece to check. And I actually want to get down to where I'm actually like grid sampling and taking you know, like, so 2.5 or 5 acre grids. In the future, that's what I want to do, but for now I just took 3 just to have a pretty good idea of what this soil is going to be like. But it's very, very dry in the back. You can even almost see the difference in the color, and then you can also see the water up here as it's February and not super dry. But yeah, this shouldn't be a bad piece to farm. This is kind of sandier, gravelier ground. I think maybe at some point that this front piece was mined. I don't know that for sure, but I almost wonder, just because of how kind of wetter it is, and it does seem to go up here in the back. But yeah, this should be one of the earlier pieces we get on. All right, so I kind of just got right back into it. So that line, they did not have, you could not buy a new one. So what I ended up doing was getting a hose. I welded a fitting onto this. I cut this piece off right here. There was a splice in that steel line. I welded this fitting on right here to get to JIC. So then that also helped me be able to put a T in so that I could run the loader hot off the hydraulics rather than run it back through the remote, which is what it was doing. When you run a loader through, well, anytime you run hydraulics through a remote, you lose a lot of flow. Mainly flow. You don't really lose the pressure, you just lose a lot of flow when you go through a coupling like that. So it's really nice. I'm going to be able to put a T in here so I can run the loader right up to here, so that it's running hot right off the main line, not through the remotes. And then I got the new line put on right here. So I'll show you. Like I said, they didn't have the new steel line, but they did have a fitting that I could get in there, tighten up, and it was a crimp. So I could make a new line to come to here, then also be able to run the T to here to run up to the loader block, which is up there. This is my new line for the for that. And then I also have one new line I'm going to be putting on the loader. All right, I got them all on, all tight. There's the T for the loader. Hoping that makes it a lot nicer. The other one goes back. That one goes up to that valve up there. Hopefully you can see. Goes in the side there. And then I put a new one up on the loader as well. Right there. Hopefully you can see that. And so we're gonna put oil in it and see what happens. Well, we're back in the garage today doing some wrenching on some tractors. Got a Ford 4000 in here. We're doing quite a bit to this thing. So, laundry list. We're rebuilding the steering cylinder, new radiator, new water pump, rebuilding the engine. Got the pistons already pulled. Head is at the machine shop. He's gonna go through that. We'll have to put new liners in. It's kind of hard to see, but you can tell that there's a liner there. So when I say liner, there's a very thin piece of steel that slides in the engine. So that way when you have to rebuild it, you can pull that piece out and just slide that piece back in rather than having to have the engine machined, the block itself machined. They do that because it makes it a lot easier when you're rebuilding engines. Not all engines are sleeved. There are some you would have to pull the block out, send it to a machine shop, and then they would either oversize it, most likely machine this out to oversize, and then you would buy an oversized rebuild kit with bigger pistons. Anyways, so rebuilding the engine, steering cylinder, radiator, tore the brakes apart. They're way out of adjustment on several areas. This was way out of adjustment, which, well, that was on there, so we had to hold it. We had to adjust that. We actually had to adjust the brakes themselves. So then this final drive, so this is a Ford 4000 row crop, which nowadays it does not look like a row crop. Nowadays you would consider a row crop would be, there would be a full platform over the tractor and you would not straddle the transmission. This was a row crop back in the day. And so what they would do is they made drop final drives to bring the tractor up to make it a row crop. Well, we've been doing some work on it and noticed there was, and we got the rest of them out because we're getting ready to pull this. There was 4 out of the 9 bolts that hold this on broke. So we are going to pull this off. I have to get all them broken bolts out, put all new bolts back in, going in. So, all right, guys. Well, we just found something out that's very interesting. We have been doing work and we wire wheeled the top of the block and found out that there's actually not liners in this engine. So every engine kit that we found through the dealer online, every one of them had sleeves in it. And I guess there's a lot of models, well, probably most likely the older models, they were all sleeved. And then also the other kits that have sleeves, I guess they want you to pull the engine, bore it out, and they set it up so you can put liners in it. So what you would normally do in this instant with no liners, you would pull the block, the rest of the engine, you would take it to a machine shop. They would either bore it out for oversized pistons, so they'd take 30 or 40 thousandths off, and you would buy 30 or 40 thousandths or 20 thousandths or whatever over pistons, and you'd have a little bit bigger pistons, or you'd take enough off that you could drop liners in for rebuilding it in the future. So this guy's tractor, he does not do a whole lot with it. He bales like 6 or 8 acres of hay with it. Maybe does a little brush hog and doesn't do a ton. So he doesn't want to spend the extra, probably $1,500 or $2,000 by the time it's all said and done for the extra work, for all the machining, and for either the oversized kit or the liner kit. Now we're still having to buy pistons and rings, but it would be more to do it the other way. So because he doesn't use it a ton, we're going to take a hone and clean these cylinders up. So kind of interesting. You look at this and you go, well, it's really, it looks pretty good. There's no big grooves and stuff like that. But it's actually funny. On an engine cylinder, you want what's called cross hatching. And we will try to put it back as well as we can with our hone. But it's kind of interesting. You don't want it super smooth. The cross hatching helps hold oil in the cylinder walls, and it just helps the rings work better. I'm sure there's some other things that maybe I'm not completely aware of that it also does as well. But anyway, so we're going to grab the hone, start working on honing them. Now, this cylinder, I actually had a friend of mine come over and he checked it with a dial bore indicator. They are slightly oblong. When I say slightly, a few thousandths. which is not uncommon because as your crank comes around, it's doing this. So your connecting rod in here is constantly walking back and forth, which can pull, which as the piston goes up and down has a little bit of sideways force. So that's not uncommon. And then also it is a little big, but like I said, for the amount of hours he puts on it, and also with the way the new rings are made, it should be fine. We're pretty confident it will not be an issue. So we're gonna get the hone out and work on starting to hone it. All right, well, we got the cylinders honed. We got 3 of the pistons back in. We left 1 out so we could show you what we got what we're working on. It's kind of interesting, this engine, the center 2 pistons drive together or do the same rotating, and then the outside 2 do the same as well. So right now both inside cylinders are up, and if this piston was in, 1 and 4 are both down. So then as 1 and 4 come up, 2 and 3 go down. Kind of interesting. So we did the cross hatching, or we did the honing to get our cross hatching. I'm gonna put a light on it. Hopefully you guys can see that. It looks really good from where I'm standing. Not sure how it's gonna turn out with the camera, but it did turn out pretty well in my opinion. Wow, actually you guys can see this is showing up really bad on the camera. It doesn't look quite as bad in person. There still is a lip right here. We were not able to get all of this honed super good, but considering the fact that he did not want to have the engine pulled, we kind of had to meet in the middle of taking enough to try to get it, you know, as smooth as possible, but not taking out too much that the cylinders would not reseat. So, and of course, these pistons have new rings on them, but we cannot get any movement on them at all, which makes us feel pretty good. The old ones had quite a bit of movement. Again, it might just be the fact that the rings are brand new. Forcing it out, much better, but I mean, it still makes us feel good at least. Got the front timing case on, front pulley, crank and rod bearings, we replaced all of them. So we're going back together. Get this last piston in, get the head on, keep putting things back together. We also are doing a 12-volt conversion on this, so we took the generator off, put an alternator on. We're going from 6 to 12 volt, so this will charge our 12-volt battery now. We're also going to an electronic ignition. That's what some of this is. So yeah, we've been getting a lot done with it. Hopefully we can continue to keep moving on it, and hopefully it turns out pretty good. We're pretty excited. So.